Hello. Thank you for joining me for another live. And the world has changed a great deal since the last time that we talked. But we all know that's how I'm usually going to start off. But today we're going to talk about something different. We're going to talk about Thanksgiving. Let me introduce myself. I'm Dr. Geoffrey, crisis as well as split-second decisions expert, and I also help organizations deal with change management. As a result of COVID, we are definitely in a crisis. We are no doubt in a crisis. Question is, what should you do about the holidays? Should you celebrate Thanksgiving? Can you do it safely? What do the experts say? Well, as maybe you all know, as I think I've already spoken about, I'm a split-second decisions expert. I'm as well as a public health expert. And officially, let me just say, it is best, now follow me, it's best not to gather for Thanksgiving the way that you typically would. That's a fact. However, based on what we have seen from Memorial Day during the COVID crisis, July 4th during the COVID crisis, Labor Day during the COVID crisis, people are very likely going to gather. Therefore, it's important that we have a safe way of gathering. Many of you all will ask, well, Dr. Geoffrey, are you and your family going to gather? And I will be candid. Yes, me and my family will be gathering. But I'm going to present to you 11 must rules for gathering during Thanksgiving during COVID. 11 must rules for gathering during Thanksgiving during COVID. But let me set it up because you got to have a context for these rules. And we're going to roll through these rules pretty fast. As it relates to the virus, because don't forget, we're talking about Thanksgiving and the virus, Thanksgiving and the COVID virus. You need to understand this important concept. I've spoken about it many times. The COVID virus transmission depends on two big factors. The concentration of the virus, meaning that how much active virus is around, the concentration. The more active virus, the greater the concentration. The less virus in the area, the less the concentration. And then two, the length of exposure. So two of the most biggest impacts of whether or not you contract COVID from someone else are the concentration of the virus around and the length you're exposed to it. It's with that backdrop that we're going to share with you the 11 must steps, the 11 tips for celebrating Thanksgiving during COVID. And again, the recommendation is for people not to celebrate, but if you're going to, here are some rules. Ideally, you want the event outside. But many people are not going to be able to have the event outside. And then in case of weather, these 11 rules all apply to inside. But for those of you who can have them outside, you can do that as well. Rule number one. Have people take a COVID test, have at least 7 days prior to having taken a COVID test, 7 days prior to the event, because it often takes 2 or 3 days for it to come back. You and the family, the patriarch or the matriarch, or whoever whoever the heavy in the family is. Heavy is the one who enforces rules. That person needs to be committed to, and everyone needs to buy in. You can work this out well in advance. That person determines and sets the guidelines for, hey, if you are negative, come on. If you're positive, you don't come. If you're positive, you don't come. What that could mean is that people may get their tests, go ahead and start travel, and their test may not come back until Tuesday, but they're already in the area. The patriarch or the matriarch, it's their job to check everyone's status. Anyone who does not have a test does not get in, or anyone who has a positive test does not get in. There should be no rules. There should be no bending on that. 2, everybody gets a temperature taken on arrival. Everyone gets their temperature taken on arrival. If it's above 100.3, They don't come in. Above, 100.2. This is when the patriarch or the matriarch, the one that everyone listens to, has the most instrumental and crucial role, because it's going to be difficult. People at the door, they have a temperature. Oh, well, no, these got to be strict rules. Rule number 3. Anyone coming to your event should isolate for 14 days prior to the event. Limit their exposure to other people. They are preparing for the event. Isolate prior to the event. By the way, let me go back to the testing. For those people who take the test 7 days prior to coming, once you take the test, you've got to isolate. Why? Because you don't want to have a negative test, but in that 7 days, you go out and contract the virus. Let me summarize. Everyone coming should be required to take the test. Isolate for 14 days prior to the event. Someone at the front door checking the temperature on the day of the event. 4, everyone must wear a mask. Everyone must wear a mask during the event, except while eating. If you're not eating or drinking, everyone must wear a mask. Open the windows during the entire event. Open the windows. And 6, have fans going constantly. Why? Because we already talked about it. The concentration of the virus and the length of exposure are key. If there's plenty of ventilation, windows are open, fans are going, it decreases the concentration and decreases the length of the virus. Then 7, limit the number of out-of-town guests. Limit the number of out-of-town guests, preferably allow no out-of-town guests this year. Allow no out-of-town guests, but if you're going to have them, limit the number of out-of-town guests. 8, shorten the duration of the event. Shorten the duration of the event. So usually if you're gathering together for 8 hours, maybe you cut the event down to 3 hours. Because by shortening the duration of the event, anybody who happens to be COVID positive, it decreases everyone's exposure to them during the event. And the wear down effect doesn't happen. The wear down effect is, hey, it's Thanksgiving. Hey, I've been around everybody for a while. They look safe. Let me go in and take off my mask. That's what usually happens. There's this phenomenon going on across all racial barriers, cultural barriers, that people think that because somebody's family, they're therefore safer. Not necessarily true. 9, for those who are high risk being defined as high risk of, if they get symptoms, they have worse outcomes. The high risk, the elderly, those with cancer, those who are immunocompromised, those high risk people who are attending the event should have their own separate area that they're able to gather in. Their own separate area. It does not mean that people cannot come in and say hi to them, but that should not be the main gathering area. Again, high-risk individuals, meaning the elderly, immunocompromised, those who, if they get COVID, they're more likely to have a negative outcome, should have their own separate, highly ventilated area that's for them. Don't forget, this year Thanksgiving, it's different. It's going to be different. It's going to feel different. Number 10, practice all CDC guidelines. Practice all CDC guidelines. So I would recommend the host make sure that people socially distance as much as possible. Have plenty of hand sanitizer, all spread out, disinfectant wipes, all spread out. Have that every place. And then number 11, this is a big one. This is a big one. For those people who have college students returning, they should not, even if the host house is their house, they should not be staying in the house. Yes, they should not be staying. Set them up in a hotel. They can come over for the event and then go back to the hotel. You say, why? Why, Dr. Geoffrey? Because that's one of the most infectious group of people. I don't know your child, but it's very likely that if that's a college student, they've not been isolating the way that they should. So those are the 11 steps. Thank you very much for joining me. For more information on these steps, there will be a bit.ly attached to this, but I'll tell you about that shortly. Thank you very much. Now, we're going to go through the 11 steps. Again, everyone to get a COVID test at least 7 days prior to coming. Once you have the COVID test, you do isolate until your results come back, and you isolate as much as possible while you're traveling to the event. Isolate 14 days prior to the event. 14 days that makes sure, in case you're an asymptomatic carrier, it makes sure that that you don't develop symptoms. Number 3, there should be someone in charge. And I don't mean a little 12-year-old. Someone in charge who everyone in the family respects, takes people's temperature as they come in. If the temperature's high, deal done. They don't come, even if they travel thousands of miles. And this should be talked about as a family prior to the event. Everyone in the event, the entire time, must wear a mask. Everyone in the event, the entire time, must wear a mask, except while eating and while drinking. And the host should have extra masks available. Number 5, open windows during the entire event. Even if it's cold outside, open windows. Why? We want to decrease the concentration, decrease the exposure. Open windows. 6, electric fans. Have fans, the ceiling fan going, other fans going. We want to increase the circulation and the ventilation. Preferably no out-of-town guests, but if you're going to have them, limit the number of out-of-town guests. Number 8, shorten the duration of the event. If the event's normally several hours, pre-COVID, cut it back to at least half of the time. Number 9, for high-risk individuals, meaning the elderly, those who are immunocompromised, they should have their own area that's well ventilated, that have plenty of fans. Other guests can go in there and visit them, but they should have their own area that they can, quote, chill in and just relax in. 10, practice all the current CDC guidelines. That includes social distancing, washing your hands as much as possible. The host is expected to have hand sanitizer all over the house, extra masks all over the house, and people are still expected to socially distance as much as possible. And then number 11, if you have a college student returning from college, that person, even if the host house is their primary residence, put them up in a hotel. If you have college students coming from other areas who are just coming to visit, put them up in a hotel. Let's assume, and it's a safe assumption, college students while in college most of them are not isolating appropriately. They're high-risk people. And let's not forget, this is if you're going to celebrate. The recommendation is for you not to have these celebrations. If you do, this should feel differently. This is a different type of celebration. Hey, this is Dr. Geoffrey. You can follow me at splitsecondDecisions.com, and I will take questions now. Oh, let me talk about real quick. Some of you are going to want this in writing. I have it in writing. I attached the toolkit under this, but hold on, listen to me. You can get the toolkit, but this information is not attached to the toolkit yet. There's some problems with the graphic person. They're in India, some typos. I didn't want to attach it. I would encourage you all to share this. Check out, come back to this bit.ly, come back to it after 5 o'clock today. But don't worry, I will do this exact same live again some point this week. But I will have a graphic as it relates to the 11 must steps. Let's take questions. Here we go here. Hey, good morning, Sandra. What's going on? Angela Johnson, what's going on? Myra, I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? Linda, what's happening? Good morning, Dr. Geoffrey, Hampton Pirate. You're always on point. Thank you for sharing. Great. Hey, no, class of 81. All right, I'm class of 89. What's going on with you? Good job. What about air purifier and HEPA? Air purifier, great. HEPA filters, great. Any additional filtration is definitely helpful. Any additional filtration is definitely helpful. And again, I want to say this, and I'm just going to keep it real. The current CDC recommendations is that you should not be gathering, and I get that. My public health hat agrees with it. However, in the Mount Varner household, we will be gathering, and not just because we're so bold to do it. I think that there's a mental health component to this as well. That people, we just need this. And by the way, I promised you all last week, I'm gonna have a mental health expert on tomorrow at 10:30. Mental health expert on tomorrow at 10:30. I will set that up. I will announce that, and we will be answering questions. Okay, great point. Ramona asks, what's the difference between the KN95s and the N95s? Great question. The KN95s, and by the way, while I'm talking, if anyone wants, if you would put some good things that have happened to you, some good things that have happened to you in this, would you go ahead and do that now? The N95s, that's the official American version recommendation. That's the best mask that's on the market that laymen can buy. The KN95, that's the Chinese version of it. That's the Chinese version. And I don't say that. I mean, that's the official. It's the Chinese version. Those are better than no mask at all. But there are some places that don't allow you to wear those. The KN95s that have the filter that you can open and close, there are many places, there are many even airlines that don't allow you to fly with those. They don't allow you to fly those. Why? Because of the two-way valve on them. But a KN95 that does not have the two-way valve is considered, some have said, follow me on this one, some have said to be just as good as the N95s. Notice, follow me. That's what they say. But I work at a few different hospitals because I'm still practicing on the front lines. I've not seen any hospital use a KN95. Even when we were running short on the N95s, I've not seen any hospitals use the KN95. But don't forget, a mask is better than no mask at all. Hopefully that answers your question, Ramona. Hey, Tara, what's going on? How you doing? Tara, I am going to be doing another talk as it relates to kids, teachers, and COVID and the school thing, because as we see, some places are going back to school, some places are staying virtual. The whole school and kids questions come back up. Oh, and the reason why many of you all missed it is that once they hacked my account, for those people whose email address I had, we continue kicking it about COVID. So I would encourage you to hit one of my bit.lys, make sure I have your email address, because if I'm ever shut down again on Facebook, I'm moving it to Zoom, and I can contact you via your email with Zoom. All right, here we go. Let me see. You asked a question, Terry Jones. Hey, I'm getting my COVID test before my colonoscopy this week before Thanksgiving. I will shelter in place until I travel. Hey, good job. First of all, congratulations on getting your colonoscopy. Smart move. And they require you to get the COVID test. Had mine 2 weeks ago. I had to get my COVID test as well. Hey, I'm just glad you're getting your colonoscopy. But once your COVID test is negative, if you can isolate, that's great. Here we go. Delinda Geechee. Hello, fellow pirate, class of 90 from Williamsburg. Class of 90, you're an ogre. Are you an ogre? I'm not sure. I'm Genesis too, by the way. By way of Harlem. Harlem, thank you for sharing this. Hey, well, Delinda, glad you appreciate. Hey, I just need you all to share this with folks. Share this with folks. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I'm leading towards something with this. Delinda Dynasty. Okay, Delinda, let me just tell you all. At first, I was just sharing. I was creating this information because it all started because my mom and her club. I used to prepare these lives for them, but as a result, it's gotten pretty big. I live into businesses and organizations just to give updates. But I've got a secondary cause here. The secondary cause is this. You've heard me talk about it, so you can just mute me for now. I'm going to get back on this horse. Throughout the last several decades, when they want to communicate something to a certain community, they use people who look like them. When they want to communicate a message to the Hispanic community about the census, they have Hispanic stars and politicians on there. When they want to communicate to the elderly, they have older people on there, both black and white, but they're older people because people vibe with them. But I've noticed, when they want to communicate to the black community about get out till I vote, they give us stars and politicians. They're all on the TV and so forth and so on. What I have found, which is strange, I haven't figured out, as it relates to COVID, especially when we know that COVID impacts blacks at a disproportionate rate. I didn't say people of color. It impacts blacks at a disproportionate rate. What I've noticed is, where are all these black doctors on the national news? Where are these black doctors on national? And you say, well, he's making a racial subject. No, I'm not. Follow me on this one. Follow me on this one. This is all, the vaccine is going to come because of historical reasons that I understand. Black folks are hesitant to listen to folks. Black folks are hesitant to listen to the medical professions for reasonable reasons. Tuskegee, a number of different studies. So my question is, when the vaccine comes, who are they going to use to convince black folks to take the vaccine? And then 2 years from now, they're going to say, well, black folks are not taking the vaccine. Slow down. You set it up where there are not national regular doctors. They have doctors of color, and that's cool. But where are the black doctors who we get to know and so that we feel? Sanjay Gupta, loved him, smart man. But most people in the black community are not going to follow Sanjay Gupta. So my point is, I am building an audience to tell the national media, put some black doctors on there regularly so that when this vaccine comes, we got people that we can trust. All right, I got my soapbox for too long. Let me get back to this. 22 minutes. There were questions here. Here we go. A couple of folks told me that they took COVID tests this week and the tech only had to swab just inside their nostrils, not up their cranium. Is this less invasive method widespread? I hear it happening more and more. With that test, what that says to me is that they're getting better tests. But I've heard that happening more and more. There's so much information about COVID. Admittedly, I don't keep track about the details of each test. Dynasty classes in the, okay, good night, Dynasty. Okay, all right. Angela, Genesis. Hey, Angela, you're Genesis 1, 1980. So, Angela, you and I were Hampton at the same time. I'm Genesis 2. So, hey, Dale Grant, my brother, class of 91. Oh, hey, Ogre's in the house. For everybody on here who is from Hampton, we got to admit, that Ogre thing is real. What was it, that Ogre, like 1,000 now? Hey, Ogre. Congratulations, Delinea, class 90, the pink and blue. All right. Eminence, class of 81, health professional. Hey, Johnny Blackwell, Linda, hey, you all should connect. Health professionals, you all should connect. Harvey, yes. And again, that's not a racial point. It's a practical point. The vaccine's coming. They've compromised Dr. Fauci. So honestly, I'm going to pause. Think about who are you going to listen to? Who do you trust? Something to think about. All right, Delinda. Hey, Dr. Geoffrey, you are so right because I'm one of those people that does not trust the words of those I see adamantly putting out the vaccine. And fairness to black folks. And also in fairness to elderly, both black, white, purple, and green. There's some concern about the vaccine, reasonable concern. And so what I would like to see are more older doctors because elderly people tend to listen to older doctors. And then people of color, people of color. But black doctors. I draw that distinction. People of color are fine. I draw that distinction only because I recently saw a national program. It said women of color. I thought, great, I'm gonna sit and watch it. There are no black people on it. So it was different from what I'm used to that term meaning. Hey, Gail, I appreciate you. Ogre's in the house. Is there an online group of black professionals? Yes. So hold on, and don't let the media fool you. The National Medical Association has thousands of black doctors all over the country. So yes, and they are working. So I was reached out to by a drug company to get involved with the vaccine just due to a time I was not able to. But the National Medical Association is working with them. So there are blacks who are involved in working with the drug companies. I'm not sure at what level. But we know that you've got to build relationship with folks. So it's going to take a few months to build relationships so that when the vaccine comes and the doctor approves it, the one who they have on the media, and we trust them, and they say, hey, I'm taking it and my family's taking it, boom. I'll tell you all. I'm going to give you a little secret. Lean in. Here you go. Lean in. The question you should ask once the vaccines come out, you're going to ask me, am I going to take it? I'm probably not going to take it at first. Okay. I'm probably not going to take it. But the question you really want to ask me is, even once I take it, is, will I allow my kids to take it? So me taking it is one level. A different level is, will I allow my kids to take it? Two different levels. All right, here. Thanks for the video, Kim. All right, everybody. Hey, be safe out there. Make sure that you do something kind, that you do something nice. You reach across the aisle. I would actually ask you to do something kind for someone who doesn't look like you. Do something kind for someone who doesn't look like you. And then tomorrow at 10:30, based upon the popular demand, and I literally mean that, popular demand, I have Dr. Jonathan Shepard, Johns Hopkins trained psychiatrist, who will be coming on and talking to us about mental health. We'll have about a 15 or 20-minute conversation, and then we will take questions. Again, we will take questions. And I would encourage you all, these are general questions. These are not specific detailed questions. And that's it. We will close it out. Oh, just a few more questions here. There are people out there fearful of taking the flu shot. Michelle Brown says, there are people out there who are fearful of taking the flu shot. Listen to how I say this. I'm saying it this way for a different reason. For a reason. If you've taken the flu shot in the past, I highly, if you've ever taken the flu shot, I highly, highly encourage you to take the flu shot. I've taken it. My family's taken it. My kids have taken it. I highly recommend taking it, and take it as soon as possible. Why? Because once you take it, it takes 2 weeks for you to develop an immunity. And make sure you talk to your parents, those who are over the age of 65. Again, black, white, purple, and green. It's the elderly who should take it. And the ones that they take, it's different from ours. They're not able to take those over 65 are not able to take the nasal spray version of the vaccine. It's got to be the shot form. Why? They have 4 different strains of those. 4 different strains in the elderly. We have 3 different strains. The elderly need to need to build a more robust immune response. Delinda, we are the group most adversely affected by COVID. So it's reasonable for us to want to see and hear from our own profession. I agree. I'm just not sure, Delinda, I do agree with you. I'm just trying to figure out, where did this change? This national media has always done it this way. I don't think it's anything nefarious. I actually think it is a blind spot. I think it's a blind spot, but all of a sudden on none of the national programs do I see a consistent Black doctor. And again, it's not a racial issue I'm making. It's a practical issue. It's about saving lives. Linda, Dale Green, how do you feel personally about some of the HBCUs volunteering their students to take the vaccine? I think that's reasonable, as long as the students are appropriately informed. And hold on, and if you don't mind, a small correction, Dale, and we're probably saying the same thing. The HBCUs, they can't volunteer their students. They're saying, hey, we will give you access to their students. And I think that's reasonable. Here's why. I definitely think that Blacks, everybody, should be a part of these studies and trials. 100% agree. Why? Because we want to know that the vaccine works in everybody. And the reason why I think HBCUs are good is because HBCUs are filled with young Black folks, young, healthy Black folks. The younger you are, the less likely that you're to have any negative effects as it relates to a trial. So I'm 100% in favor of having somebody young and so forth and so on. I think that's reasonable. I definitely want to be clear. We should be participating in trials, no doubt. Linda, I've been working on my classmates' fellow pirates to get their colonoscopy, COVID-19 tests, and flu vaccines. My classmates are 60 and 60. It is a must. I was in school with Johnny Blackwell. I am frustrated with folks not wanting to be preventive. Linda, continue to work with them. Look at my Facebook page, Geoffrey Mount Varner, and go back about a week. I have a 2-part series on colonoscopies where I was doing one with Dr. Kester Cross, a Hampton graduate. Part 1 is and if you listen to it, he gives you all the reasons why you need to get a colonoscopy. Colon cancer is 90% curable if you catch it during stages 1 and 2. But either way, go back, and I have one with Dr. Kester Cross, where in part 1, he talks about why you get colonoscopy. And then in part 2, which is right thereafter, he gives you more information. Or you can go to Dr. Kester Cross' site, Kester, Kestr, Cross, Crosse. He's an internationally known gastroenterologist who's in the DMV. And thank you, sir. Dino, is Thanksgiving dinner and family canceled this year? Dino, you must have just popped on this. Go back and listen to the first 10 minutes. It is really short. The CDC guidelines is recommending canceling. My public health department says, yes, cancel your Thanksgiving celebrations. However, if you're going to have it, listen to the first 10 minutes of this. It tells you the 11 must steps that you should take to make it as safe as possible. And if you come back and hit this bit.ly attached to this later, it will be a downloadable that gives you the 11 steps. Everyone be safe. Please share this. And I would encourage you all, listen tomorrow at 10:30, especially for those several people who asked me to get a mental health professional on here. It will be tomorrow at 10:30. I'm about to set that up right now. Be safe, do something kind, and be gentle with yourself. Have a great day.